Hello and welcome to a Homeboys Extra. I'm Jason. I'm one of the four musketeers that's your normal hosts for the night. We're missing Joe, Harper and Paul, but since I couldn't get the guys available for tonight, I thought I'd invite a special guest across, and he's a good friend of mine, a lifelong friend, and he's a regular contributor to the TikTok panel, the Carluke Shamrock Celtic Supporters Club. And it's my good friend Johnny Mackay. You there, Johnny?
Yes, how you doing, Jason?
I'm good, mate, I'm good. Good to have you aboard the homeboy ship. And there's a special reason I've invited you along the night, Johnny. It's a special podcast for me because it's something that's close to both our hearts, and it's maybe not popular by a load of Celtic fans because Celtic's one love and that's it, the one love only. But we've got a wee a sort of passion across the border that we like to go and see now and again. It's Everton Football Club. Would you agree, mate?
Oh, you might take players, that, sure, you're right, mate.
And even to add another aspect to it, we've got a very good friend of the podcast who was part of one of the great successful podcasts that we done earlier on, and it was one about Athletic Club of Bilbao, and it's my good friend John Sheeran. Are you there, John?
Yeah, hi Jason.
How you doing, mate? And
I'm smashing, thanks.
Good. And with the name that we call John's well known by in Liverpool and by his circle of Evertonians is Chile John. And the reason he's known as Chile John is because in the year 2002, John Sheeran was responsible for forming an Everton supporters club called the Ruleteros. And I was reading about you on the official Everton site, John, and it was very interesting reading that. And your motto is once an Evertonian, twice an Evertonian.
Yeah.
So you've got your passion with Everton and Liverpool, and then you've got your passion with Everton and Chile, and
Aye.
it's a fascinating story. So is it the Everton and Chile, are they called Everton de Vina del Mar? Or is it Deportivo Everton? Was it?
They've changed over the years. They've been Corporación Everton, Deportes Everton, but I think everyone just knows them as Everton de Vina del Mar. Yeah.
Yep, and that's quite interesting because that's the name of your supporters club in Liverpool is the Ruleteros, and the Ruleteros is because of the name casinos, and Vina del Mar is full of casinos. Is that correct?
Well, it's just one big, massive old casino. So this casino used to pay a percentage of its earnings football. So in honour of that, in the 50s, they call themselves the Ruleteros, which is the roulette wheel player.
Yeah, absolutely. So before we get into this, myself and Johnny, we'll give a wee bit of background how we get into Everton. Obviously, the Homeboys are Celtic podcast, so me and Johnny are Celtic fans, you know, and when push comes to shove, if Celtic play anybody in the world, we want Celtic to win, you know, no bones about it. As much as we've got a passion for Everton, if Everton's playing Celtic, I'm sorry Everton, but it's Celtic all the way, and that goes for Johnny too. But it still doesn't take away from my passion, and my passion in Liverpool is definitely Everton Football Club and English football. I'm a big admirer of the football, although the Premier Leagues took it to a level that I think it's pretty false in the worldwide football market, that they market it as this greatest league in the world, which I don't agree with, but I've still got a massive hankering for Everton Football Club. So the reason I'm 40 years old, and the reason I got into Everton was because one of my older cousins had an Everton strip. It was late 70s, the yellow one with the badge just said EFC with the Umbro down the. It was a Bob Latchford Everton shirt, and they gave me this strip. So that was my English team. Just simple facts. I owned an Everton shirt when I was like 8 or something, 7 or 8. And then the early 80s came, and watching Match of the Day and watching Sports Night with Harry Carpenter, League Cup games and stuff like that. And it was the advent of the bobble hat era, and every team in England and Scotland, they all wore their bobble hats. And for anybody that's been a Celtic fan for any amount of years, when you used to go to Celtic Park, outside the ground, there was 3 types of bobble hats available. There was the all green one, the Celtic bobble hat, and then there was the green and blue one, Celtic with Everton, and then there was the green and red one, Celtic Man United. So there wasn't any other bobble hats available, much to the new breed of supporters aghast, the ones that like the rotten side of Liverpool and stuff like that. But I started really watching it for the results. We went to Ibiza when I was 16, 1988, and met a couple of my lifelong friends, a squad of Scousers there, and I had an Everton shirt on and one of them had a Celtic shirt. And it transpired they were at the 1985 Scottish Cup final. They'd come up to the Celtic and Dundee United Cup final, didn't know any Glaswegians or anything, just come up themselves, and just get friendly with the guys, kept in contact. Then I started getting into Liverpool probably about once a month. When I was 16, 17, they were coming up to Glasgow every other weekend and everything, and then just started going to. So I think to this day, I'm 40 years old now, I must have been seen at Everton about 100 times. But it was happy days. So that's my story. What about you, Johnny? What about yourself?
Well, I'll go back, Jason. We spoke about it earlier. But my heart went out to Everton that night when they get beat, and I think it was a second replay at Old Trafford, Aston Villa. They get beat 3-2, and I think three games it took. Aston Villa beat them 3-2. Mick Lyons, I think, scored with Bob Latchford, and I felt so sorry for them. They played great football over. I think the first game was a bit of a dull game, but the next two were a wee bit better. The second one was 1 each. First game was 0-0, but the third game, I think it was late on. I think there was a wonder goal for Aston Villa in that game as well, and I felt sorry for Everton. And we had in Killock where we live, we had a boys club that all our parents, they used to take us to Liverpool. They used to take us to a place, it was St Teresa's, and it's not far from both the grounds. And what they used to do...
That's my parish church.
Is that right, John?
Yes, St Teresa of the Child Jesus, Norris Green, near both grounds, as you say. That's where I was brought up.
Yeah, and we would go there and we would play them, the boys at football, and normally they would take us along to a match, and it just so happened the first time I went, the weekend I went, and as Jason's mentioned, Manchester United, Everton. Well, I had this wee thing about Everton after that League Cup final, and the only tickets that they could get us was to go to Old Trafford, and it just so happened that they played Everton, and I was sitting there in the main stand at Old Trafford with the rest of the boys for Killock, and I think maybe two of us were rooting for Everton, and the rest of them were Manchester United. But Manchester United, there was a few Celtic supporters that supported Manchester United then in the 70s at that time. I think that was a Mark Busby thing. But as Jason says, as we went into the 80s, and the bobble hats, I'll never forget the amount of times you look into the Gladys Street of the old game for the 80s and you see the amount of green ones. It's unbelievable.
And then obviously for where we live, we last sort of started a bit of a supporters club up, the Brian LeBone #1, after a massive legend in Everton, and I was lucky enough to meet the great man before he died. We took a bus down to the Everton Birmingham City game, and we went to the Everton supporters club behind the Gladys Street after it, and Brian LeBone was there, and we took a full bus down, and there was a charity night for a guy, Stan Tyrrell. He was voted the Merseyside Supporter of the Year. The guy had terminal cancer, so we brung a signed Celtic shirt down, brung loads of stuff down, and any money made for the bus, we donated it to his fund and met his kids and stuff like that. It was pretty harrowing, to be honest with you, but it was humbling as well. And Brian LeBone asked, he says, who's all these kids that's done for Glasgow? And I ended up sharing a pint with him, and he said to me, he says, look son, any time you're down you can have my seat in the main stand, you know. And what an honour that was. And he coined the phrase, one Evertonian's worth 20 Liverpudlians. So I take quite a load of guys down for Wishaw, and it's all Celtic fans. If Celtic's not got a game or whatever, I think last season we had about 40 odd in the train, Johnny, for the derby. But
that's right, yeah.
I think the less said about that day the better. But it was an eventful day to say the least. But so I like to at least once a season take all the guys down And Everton Independent Supporters Club, when they were up at the Motherwell game, Barry Murray and co, they all come into the Cross Keys, and we looked after the guys that day, so they always return the favour for us. And we were done at the Derby, me and yourself, Johnny, we were done at the Derby, the draw earlier on this season, so we always get done at least once or twice. When I was younger, I was married, but I didn't have any kids. I'd go to as many games as I want, but now it's 1 or 2 games a season. So enough about me and Johnny over at the main event. So John, you're a lifelong Evertonian. So just give us a wee bit about your, and obviously we spoke about it before. You've a wee soft spot for the Celts, just like most Evertonians brought up in Liverpool your age would have a wee soft spot for the green side. But give us your story, mate, and then we'll go on to the Chile stuff.
Okay. Well, I was born in Everton. Like all Evertonians, we say, we don't pick our team. We end up coming out, and that's it. No choice. And as Johnny pointed out, St. Teresa's, that was my parish. So I was brought up a wee good Catholic boy in Norris Green, and you just want to put your team. So I was born in '59, first game '64. So I'm getting on a bit now, but yeah. Everton is my. If we play anyone, including Celtic, I want to. But as you say, I have got a soft spot for the Celts, and I've been up there a few times on my own steam. I remember going up to see Frank McAvenny whack 4 in against Honved one Wednesday night in the 80s at the European Cup.
I was there.
went up with a couple of mates, and we got a hotel, and we were doing the Glasgow, and it was just before the City of Culture, and. It was brilliant. We went to the Sarri Heed and kept our mouths very shut, and we just had a great couple of days. It was fantastic, and it's been like that every time I've been up to watch Celtic. It's just a great occasion. So I live in Sheffield now, and I keep my season ticket on. I've got a son who's 21, and he's got a season ticket, and it's just a way of life, isn't it? What are you going to do on a Saturday? Go shopping? No.
And so you obviously follow Everton the length and breadth of Europe and England and whatever, and we share a common love of our Basque culture and the athletic club of Bilbao. But so more about Everton. So you follow Everton, you've followed Everton everywhere, and Everton's a massive part of your life. So leading up to the year 2002, what was your motivation to form this supporters club with Everton in Chile, or how did you first get into it, or what brung this about, mate?
Right, 1977, we go back to that year. Everton played Stoke in the Cup, and the matchday programme that day had an article on Everton in Chile. Just won a championship. I thought, that's interesting. So I'm like 16, 17 years old, and I had a bit of an inkling to sort of find out more about this team. So a year later, I was due to go study, because I was lucky enough to get a grant, etc. I did a degree in Latin American Studies, so that shipped me off to Mexico, and in that year I hitchhiked down to Chile, and I actually saw Everton in 1980. So I made contact in 1980, and I kept in touch with a few guys there. I went back in the 90s with my family, and I went back in 2002, and then I've been going back every 2 years since. So it's nice, the people there who are Evertonians, I'm an Evertonian, and that's the common denominator. Politics doesn't even come into it, because, as you're probably aware, Chile's got a very nasty political past, and if you scratch deep enough, you can find a few demons there. So I try and skate above it without sort of selling my principles out. You try and sort of stick to the football. Coming back in 2002, on the back of a visit there, we got a few out Liverpool, a few in Chile, and we sort of said, how can we move this forward? How can we support each other as fans? It wasn't the clubs. The clubs, that was pie in the sky. It was, when we go to watch you, you look after us. When you come and watch us, we'll look after you. And that's what we did. And we've been doing it ever since. We've got 12 Chileans coming on Sunday for the Tottenham game, and we're going to look after them. Every guy who goes out, or every Evertonian who goes to Chile during the summer months when there's holiday time, they just get picked up, sorted, tickets, drink, etc., etc. As you'd expect, as you'd expect anywhere, really. So that's where we are, more or less, at the moment. We've got a supporters club that looks after the fans first of all, and the clubs are actually getting together as well. We've obviously had a game between them, so that they can sort themselves out. Our priority is sort of, for the fans.
Yep. And see, as you say, the fans, like obviously last year Everton played Everton of Chile at Goodison Park. So did you have anything to do with that, or did the clubs organise that themselves, or did they come through you guys?
Yeah. I've actually, I'm a shareholder at Everton, which it doesn't sound much, guys. I've got one share. There's only 30,000 odd, but a few of us bought shares years ago, simply for the right to go to the AGM and say, this is, to have a voice, and we banded together. And my little voice for 10 years, I'd turn up and say, can we play Everton? Can we play Everton Chile? And after about 8 years, they started getting a bit sort of hacked off. And after 9 years, they said, oh, sod it. Go and arrange it. So they gave us sort of, not carte blanche, but they said, sort it out, yeah? Sort out the details. So we came back to the club, presented them with a proposition, costings, times, etc. And the key for us getting the game was David Moyes. And he, I can live with that. If you don't qualify for Europe this year, we'll play Everton from Chile. And give him, his due. We didn't qualify for Europe just. And the Chileans came across and played a good listen.
So how did it cost out? Who paid their expenses and all that kind of stuff?
The way they worked it was, Everton thought they were going to get about 5,000 in the gate. And being Evertonians, and they're not Evertonians, the people who run the club, nice guys, but they're not Evertonians, the businessmen. We explained to them that, bring Everton and the people will come. So they basically had a sliding scale. If the gate's this amount, we'll pay you this. If it's this amount, we'll pay you that. So they covered their expenses, and anything else was a bonus. Well, we got 20,000 for the game, and they'd locked one stand. They'd actually not opened it. There were people locked out, and we'd always said to them, open the ground, we'll fill it. And they never believed us. And give Robert Ellis, the chief exec, I've heard since that he recognises that as a mistake. He didn't have that flight of faith, which we all have as supporters. We believe anything, won't we?
Yeah.
But he was he was a bit reticent, and I think had he been as daft as us, we'd have filled the game for a pre-season friendly against Everton.
Yep. So it's an amazing tale, and it's something that I don't know about you, Johnny. Like obviously, us being lifelong Celtic fans, you'd follow Celtic to the moon, and we've been on countless European trips together as well. Do you not think that'd be amazing if we had a link with a club in South America or something like that?
Well, we just I don't actually think there is.
No, I know. I'm saying I know Bloemfontein Celtic in South Africa. Yeah. But I don't know if that. I don't think that's getting to do with Celtic. No. I think it just took the name and they wear the hoops. But we don't have the colonial baggage, so to speak.
Yeah. No. Can I just tell you how it started, Jason?
Yep, on you go, mate.
All right. You said colonial baggage, and you're right, because it was Everton were invited to Argentina in 1909 with Tottenham to play pre-season friendlies, exhibition games.
Yep.
And there was a big British community in Buenos Aires at the time. Of a population of 160,000, 40,000 were Brits.
Really?
And a lot of Scotland, as you can imagine. So all the football was played by these guys. The Argentinians didn't play football, and they were inviting Everton to show, and Tottenham, how it was done. So Everton and Tottenham turn up in 1909. They have this season of games, or series of games. Everton played particularly well and played well in the right spirit. Tottenham didn't play that well and had a few men sent off and were a bit churlish. So the balance at the end of the tour was lots of clubs started forming themselves Everton, not Tottenham, but Everton, yeah, which is unfortunate for Tottenham. And most of these just died, like a lot of the clubs at the time. The First World War came, all the merchant classes returned home, and they never went back to Argentina. But there were a few little enclaves that survived. So in Chile, they founded the Everton Club a week after the tour, and that went on to become the club it is today. In Argentina, there's another club in Lata, which we visited a couple of years ago, smashing club, and one in Uruguay in Rosario, another Everton. And these clubs are they're focal points for the community, and they're going back to the turn of the century when the anarchists were setting themselves up in Argentina and Uruguay, and they looked after themselves, so they would get a library, a welfare centre, I don't know, a creche, or creche is a wrong word, split twee, but they looked after their community, and football was part of that community, and these clubs are called Everton. So there's an Everton in La Plata, an Everton in Rosario. There's two more up in Argentina in Santa Fe and Cordoba, and to in the next few years, just to say hello. I mean, that's all it is. The common denominator is Everton. We're just lucky that they've got this fantastic sort of almost socialist principle behind their existence, especially the smaller clubs. You know, they are community clubs. They're amateurs. They carry on playing football, and they carry the name Everton. So I know it probably sounds ridiculous, but that's what drives me. The fact that there's Everton Football Club out there, I want to go and find them and introduce them to each other. And we've done that to a certain extent. It's like a pan-Everton grouping. So they talk to each other, we send shirts, we send support, and the supporters, whenever we go between the countries and the clubs, they're all looked after. So it's just like a club, a big club, yeah.
Yep. And it's going to bring me on to one of the main topics of discussion. I was looking for you to tell us a story here about your Everton trilogy, and you and a good friend of mine, Paul's. I think there was three of you, was there? You, Paul, and someone else.
No,
So
it was five of us.
Five of us.
Blue Eyes, yeah, and I was that.
So the thing about I'm a bit betwixt and between, because I've got a hat. I've got an Everton and Chile hat. One of my friends from Liverpool gave me the hat, so it's a skipped hat. But being my second name Higgins, I've got another team in Chile I've got a soft spot for, and it's Higgins FC. And their badge is very Basque-like, and it's green, white, and gold as well. And they wear Everton. They wear the same colours as Everton: blue shirt, white shorts, and white socks. But so I don't know. I can't pin my colours to the mast yet. But John, it's I was out for a pint. Paul was up working in Glasgow about a month and a half ago, and Paul reckons he's seen Everton, the English Everton, playing 59 different countries. And he was telling me bits of the story about your trip to South America when you've done the Everton trilogy. So I would love nothing more, and me and Johnny have spoke about it as well. And I just love you to just tell us about this trip that you went to in South America for, I don't know, was it 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or whatever? What did it last?
It was about 3 weeks, yeah.
About 3 weeks.
It was 1909, so we were going across to Chile to see Everton Chile in their centenary, and it was their centenary game. It was a big match, semi-final of the championship. So we went across, and we had a great time in Chile, and I'd been there many times, so it was comfortable. You know, it was nice, and the football was great, and we're back. We're coming back home, but we're coming back home via Argentina and Uruguay, and we're going to two clubs we've never met, seen, whatever. But we'd written to them in advance saying we're going to come. So I went to Argentina, and we met these guys, and they were really friendly, really warm. Put on a fabulous spread for us, the beef and everything, and we stayed with them for a day or so. Swapped shirts, gave them books, they gave us stuff. It was just nice. After a couple of days, we crossed the River Plate into Uruguay, and the bird flu was on at the time. So everybody is wearing masks. Everybody's terrified. They're all going to die in 10 minutes. And as Huddersfield comes into Uruguay, we look at the quay, and there's these two fellas standing on the quay, sucking mate. It's like a tea in a metal tube with a straw, and they're sharing it between themselves, like, bird flu, have some of mine. They just so these two guys, they meet us, and they are funny as anything, and they take us back to their town, where we're met, and we're taken to the hotel, and we have a fabulous meal that night, and everything's nice. The following day is their anniversary. They all love their anniversaries over there. They know the minute they were formed, they're obsessed. But they'd killed like 6 cows, and they'd roasted them. So they're all roasted at the end of the open air gym, and they had the dance on and the whatever, and then we had the meal. And we don't know these people from Adam. Yeah, they treated us like it was embarrassing. And we go to pay the hotel when we leave, it's paid. We go to pay it's paid. They literally didn't let us pay 1 single cent. And these people are not rich, they're just, small town. So that was incredible. I mean, what we did was we just took all the money we'd changed, shoved it in an envelope, and stuck it behind the bar and buggered off. Because, we didn't want to be freeloading.
Yeah.
But the fact that they did that, it was just fantastic.
But
the trip itself, I mean,
where was this place, John? Where was this village that you were in?
It's a town of about 14,000 people in the north of Uruguay, and in the town there are 6 football teams, and they play each other in their little league, and they've been playing each other there since 1920. So that's when it was formed in Uruguay. The team in Argentina was formed in 1905. Everton only went there in 1909, and I thought, that's strange. And what it was, Everton made such an impression, the Argentinians wanted to change their name to Everton.
Right.
I've read the history of this little club, and there were old fellas saying, I'll be buggered if I'm going to have my team with the name of a gringo. And in the end, they lost and we won, and they changed their name.
Right, okay, so the town in northern Uruguay, it's interesting, like, us being Scottish, Scotland's always, because Uruguay and Scotland have got very similar populations, this is like the sort of success Uruguay's had in the world stage is something like a country like Scotland should aspire to. But when you're saying like they're small towns with 6 football teams, and we've got a country up here with 3 leagues, and we shouldn't have 3 leagues. It's like some of them are playing to 3 camels and a donkey watching the game. But when you look at Uruguay and you look at some of the players they've produced over the years, but Scotland's produced some great players as well. But it's just they seem to have the success in the worldwide stage. And is everybody in Uruguay football crazy?
It's just an obsession. There's a fantastic cartoon, and it's of the city of Montevideo. And what it is you're looking down on the city, and it's just one huge football pitch surrounded by high-rise buildings, and that's the city. It just says it all. They're just football mad. I mean, they say in Uruguay, some countries have their history. We have our football. 2 World Cups, 2 Olympic Championships. God knows how many Continental Club Cups. As you say, a country that small, it's incredible. But I think a lot of it, the downside of it is that they are have got an empty streak to them. They win at all costs. And I don't want to get partisan with Luis Suarez, because he is a fantastic player.
But
that element that you see in Suarez, that little niggle, that's what gives them the edge. So I don't think Scotland will ever have a team with that sort of nastiness is possibly the wrong word, but it is a winner. It's a spirit that means we have to win, do or die.
Yep, win at all costs, and most of the South Americans have that. Maybe Brazil, obviously, with their samba style and stuff like that, but the Argentinians have, the Uruguayans most certainly have, and Uruguayans arguably by the sort of, as we would call it, the dirtiest nation in the world. But you're right, it's win at all costs, and you've been brought up in maybe not having much in the world, maybe abject poverty or whatever, and that's your way out it, and these guys will do everything they can to win. But do you think it was interesting in the courts last week that we found out Luis Suarez's father is actually Ken Dodd?
Yes, I believe so, yeah. And by the way, that goal that they said he scored at the derby, it was never a goal because his teeth were a mile off high.
I tell you what, mate, Johnny will admit to this. We were sitting there, and see when he scored, I just put my head in my hands and says, I fucking knew it. I mean, every Evertonian. I mean, I wouldn't class myself. I would class myself as an Evertonian, but I wouldn't class myself as an Evertonian does, because obviously I'm a Celtic fan. But head in the hands, I knew it, because they always do it. You know, if you've been going to Everton Liverpool games for 20 years, you understand they always do it. And we've seen Steve.
For 50, yeah.
Yeah, and see Steven Gerrard running up to Liverpool fans, sinking his knees, sliding towards them, and then the linesman putting his flag up. Oh my God, that was sweet. But I was still gutted, because we were a better team. We should have beat them. Absolutely. They dealt with your man that goes in the left wing. What's his face? Guy was sick. No, the Everton boy that signed this year, they injured him.
Oh,
Morales. He was the best player in the park. But to hell with it. So that's you. You done Argentina. So you done Uruguay. So the team in that. How long did you spend in each place? How long did you spend in Uruguay? How long did you spend in Argentina?
In Argentina, we just went to the club. We spent a night in the hotel there, so it was 2 days. And in Uruguay, it's the same. A night in a hotel, 2 days. So the thing is, we've kept in touch with these people ever since, and we shipped them like a couple of hundred shirts, which we got from our former players. So all the kids in the towns are all wearing Everton shirts, and we're looking forward to a trip from the Uruguayans sometime next year. There's about 6 of them coming over. So, I mean, that's the bonus, isn't it? You know, keeping the friendship going.
Absolutely. You know, what do you think about that, Johnny? Johnny there? I'm bloody rubbish at his Skype. He's probably cut off. That's just me and you, John, I think. Ah, he's still there. Johnny, you there? Hello? Nah, he's not there. But no, for me it's... Oh, you there, Johnny?
Hi.
Hello. Right, what I'm saying is, being listening there, you on mute.
I was loving watching. Great story, brilliant, superb.
So what do you think of it? See if that was Celtic, with a couple of Celtics in South America. What do you think, mate? Do you think we'd be there?
Oh, amazing. Actually, it reminded me of Tiga Paris Motorcycle Diaries. As I say, it's quite an amazing story. I knew, I've heard about the Everton in Chile, but all the wee, we would call them wee amateur teams, and it's unbelievable. What I was going to ask John is, who's the top team in Uruguay? Is that Penarol?
Nacional and Penarol's a big derby. Yeah.
Penarol is the working class side. All ex-railway workers, and Nacional were formed by the local middle class to sort of give a Uruguayan feel to their football. So yeah, that's the big classic, the big derby.
And you're on about obviously the anglicised stuff with the football coming in. Thought it was dead interesting, like reading up the history, and it's the book that I'll plug the guy's book, the guy David Goldblatt. You put me on to it, John, and it's
what a fantastic book that is, isn't it?
Unbelievable. And it's into football, and Johnny yourself. It's called The Ball Is Round, and it's the guy's David Goldblatt. It's up there with the Bible. You
know when they say on Italian discs, we'll give you the Bible, Shakespeare, they should just add this one as an automatic 3, yeah, and then give you an option for something else. It's just incredible.
It's got a few. Obviously, the first thing you do as a Celtic fan when you get any of these books, you go to the Celtic section, see what they're saying about Celtic. So there's a couple of wee small inaccuracies, but nothing to worry about. You know, and it's like, if you've only got a small thing that's wrong with anything, because he's telling you about every football club in the world just about of any note, and it's a book that you can it's for toilet reading, it's for you don't need to read it from cover to cover, you can read it, you can start in chapter 32, you can skip back to 16. I've read about the same chapter 5 times, and it's just absolutely fantastic. Tells you about South American football, African football, Europe, all through every country in Europe. Gives you the political side of the teams that play in their countries and the reason why their fans support X political party. It tells you everything. And you said to me at the start, John, you recommended the book. I says, what's it about? He says, it's about everything.
It's a history of the 20th century, isn't it?
Aye, it's absolutely fantastic. And so we've spoke about you going to Chile and your Argentina trip and your Uruguay trip, but one thing that you spoke to me a while back and it hit a chord with me is, like, one of my favourite singer-songwriters, and I've seen the guy in concert numerous times, is an Irish folk singer called Christy Moore. Johnny's a big fan as well. So Christy Moore sings quite a few politically motivated songs throughout the world, and one country he concentrates on quite a bit is Chile. And he sings a song called Allende, about Salvador Allende, and he sings a song about Victor Jara. So Victor Jara, he was murdered in 1973, and that was the year that Allende lost power to the Margaret Thatcher's, one of Margaret Thatcher's great friends, Augusto Pinochet. And we all know what to think of him. And I wouldn't mind, actually, Margaret Thatcher should be invited to do a wee anniversary with him on the 10th of December, and we should bury her alive with his grave. So, but apart from that, no want to get too into sort of things. You're writing a book, John. You're writing a book about, well, you can tell the guys what you're writing a book about, but you done a speech in Chile, and you went and you say, you put your political hat to the side when you're speaking to these guys, because obviously some of them will be left, some of them will be right, or whatever. You just try to take people as they come. But you done a speech, and I thought it was very interesting what you told me. So tell the guys the story about the speech that you done in Chile.
It was a talk. It wasn't a speach. I don't mean.
Oh, right. Sorry. I was confusing you with Paul Preston there.
I was asked to give a talk on the early years of Everton, Chile, and at the time I probably knew as much as anyone about this, having had access to fantastic raw material. All the founders, letters and photos and diaries, and these have been given to me by Juan Foxley, a friend of mine who is the nephew of the founder, David Foxley. So Juan, he's a big banker, and I don't mean that in the pejorative sense, and his contacts with the well-heeled people of Chile. So I got invited to this club, and it was leather Chesterfields and teak, and it's where the oligarchy live. It was the Club Viña, and they wanted me to give a talk on the early Everton, the amateur Everton, and I was more than happy to do so. And it was basically just the first 25 years of the club. All of the front rows there, I think the mayor at the top there, they were all there. It was like, I felt like Lennon. I wanted to say to them, those at the back clap, those in the front row just shake your jewellery. So I did the talk, went through, but I was finished in 1925. But the age I gave them, I put a photo of a young man. He was 16 years old, and I asked them all, does anybody recognise this young man's face? And they all went, oh, no, very interesting, no idea, sorry. And there were smiles, and it had been a really warm talk. I'd connected with my audience. And I told them it was Salvador Allende, the future Marxist president of Chile, who was an Everton player. He was actually in the athletics division, and he was an Evertonian. And it's as if I'd told them that I was going to sleep with all their kids, and I was going to kill their firstborn, and the room, just an icy wind came across. I said thank you and good night, and left it at that. It was just my little way of saying, he's dead, but he's not forgotten. And for those of you who don't know, Salvador Allende was the elected president of Chile. He was the first Marxist ever elected. Massive reforms, trying to bring the people, into the 20th century. And this is in the late 60s. And he was basically killed in the coup of 1973 by Augusto Pinochet's troops. And he was an Evertonian, and I feel really proud of that fact. And I just wanted to express that pride with my Chilean hosts. I don't think they really appreciated it though.
But we appreciate it, mate, and I can tell you the Homeboys audience will really appreciate that, mate. And I hope you walked off the stage with a clenched fist salute.
No, just a wry grin.
But I've read a few books on Chile, and obviously Salvador Allende was the first Marxist president of any South American country, and
of any, he was the first voted.
Yep. And obviously when Pinochet murdered him, and his military his activists and stuff like that, guys like Victor Jara, who basically were songwriters and things like that, they were just into freedom and expressing their feelings. He murdered guys like that, and it was actually in football stadiums and stuff like that. They were all gunned down and murdered. And he obviously didn't go the route of the ballot box. He just turned the country and ruled by military junta, very much like his cohort General Franco in Spain in 1939. And that's another thing we feel strongly about, and it's an interesting fact as well, because you're a personal friend of Professor Paul Preston, and he's a fellow Evertonian as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And on you go, mate.
Well, while sorry, Jason, just while we're on the old fascist front, when I was a kid, I remember seeing the Lisbon Lions and pieces of Billy McNeil and Tommy Emil and the likes in a stadium in Lisbon where there were bushes on one side. You know, the old final list.
There was I was there 2 weeks ago. There was a hedge at one side. Ian McDonald was with me, by the way. Ian McDonald was with me. Yeah, I've got a photo of an Everton flag in the dugout.
I was going to say, when I went to watch Everton in one of their fantastic games against Benfica when we got beat 5-0 a few years ago, I went out to the stadium, and what a fabulous stadium it is. Fascist in every aspect, marble, towers, but typical 30. But it was just majestic. Oh, I'm glad you made it, mate. We'll have to compare photos.
Yep, I've got photos of Ian Mack there. We've got the Everton flag, and we've got the Athletic Bilbao flag flying high in the dugout. Oh man, it's amazing how paths cross now. Football fans celebrate this kind of stuff. But nah, John. So this has been absolutely fascinating. I'm sure every Celtic fan that's listening into this will absolutely love listening to it. So how can guys read up more about this kind of stuff? You've got a website, Ruleteros, or you're on Facebook?
We're on Facebook, Ruleteros, whatever it is. I'm sorry, guys, I'm not particularly up on this. We put all the match reports on Facebook. We're actually working on the fifth version of the website, which is ruleteros.com. And we expect to have that up in the new year in time for the new season. And just going back to Everton, we got promoted. We've been in the doldrums for 2 years. Got promoted last weekend, back in the top flight. And we want to have links to games, links to goals, links to match reports. So anyone interested, if you can bear with us and give us a little patience, by early January we'll have ruleteros.com up and running. And
you're not even on Twitter yet, aren't you? Not?
I will never be on Twitter, Jason. I'm sorry.
You need to be. You need to be. You need to be on Twitter. Twitter is better than Facebook, mate.
No, as long as I've got a hole in my head. Sorry,
Twitter's good, mate, and I follow loads of the Everton Chile guys on Twitter, so that's how I get an update, and I know every time they score before than you do. But there's loads of the Chile and Everton boys on Twitter. I follow all of them. But no, it's a fascinating story. So what do you think? What do you think the next steps are? Well, let's take it back. So let's take it back to your first love, Everton FC in Liverpool. And we're all socialists here, and although tomorrow night I'm looking forward to, if anybody's listening to this podcast, this is recorded on a Tuesday, and tomorrow night Celtic's playing Spartak Moscow, and we obviously have to do better than Benfica do in the Nou Camp to qualify for the last 16 of the Champions League. But personally, I don't know about yourself, John, I'll come to you in a second, but personally, I hate the Champions League. I love it because it's the only show in town and it's the most amazing thing in the world. But I hate what it's become. It's no champions. It's just a money-making exercise for FIFA. The rich get rich, the poor get poorer. And the teams in Scotland, apart from Celtic, can obviously look at that and say, these guys are going to make loads of money from that. What are we making from it? Nothing. I just think it's I disagree with everything it's all about, but it's the only show in town, and I'm a total hypocrite 'cause tomorrow night I'm going to be absolutely buzzing going to the game. So, John, you follow a club, Everton, who, in my mind, are one of the top 5 in England. They always will be. People might laugh at that, but if you're a child of the 70s and 80s, and even before then, Everton were always a top 5 club. They always will be. Chelsea will never be in the top 5, no matter how many oligarchs put their money into Chelsea. They're a shit club with a shit support, and they'll always be a shit club with a shit support. They have no history. They've got nothing. So teams like that, they don't interest me. To me, the top 5 in England, you'd be Manchester United without a doubt, and arguably Manchester City. But I know because they've had money now, but they were always a big team. You would have Everton, you would have the shite from Merseyside, you'd have Aston Villa, you'd have Arsenal and Spurs. So take any 5 out of them, and that would be my top 5 in England. And that's the way it'll always be, because you can't buy history. But as you watch a club that plays in the market now, that's English Premiership, and Everton don't have an oligarch, they don't have a Saudi billionaire, they don't have anybody that's going to invest potloads of money in the club, and you know, when you at the start of the season you go and watch this club that you love, who's one of the biggest clubs in England, it's got the best support in England, the fans that will follow them through thin and thin, you're not going to win the league. So what do you feel about this situation you're in, following this club in England, mate?
I just feel lucky. Christ, you just that, Jason. What the poor sods who support Burton Albion or nobody's got a divine right. Sorry, apart from Liverpoolians, nobody has a divine right to win anything. And I'm just delighted that my team's playing football. They go out and they entertain me and they give me one glow. I don't need a trophy. I don't need to be in the Champions League. I honest to God, I totally agree with you about this bloody Champions League circuit. And what really bugs me, sorry to rant now, is Pot came into English football in 1992 and year 0 started. We talk about the Premiership and the most goals and the least this and the da. It's so every ball that was kicked before 1992, it's almost as if it didn't exist. So Dixie Dean, Duncan Edwards, Billy Little, Steve Bloomer, the history of football, and a lot of Scots in that history as well, just doesn't exist. How can we allow that? First of all, it was Sky. Sky would always talk about the Premiership. Now the BBC do it. It just baffles me. So I'm just with my team playing nice football and sending me home, with a smile because we've had a good go.
But I know, mate, and I get you there, but does it not rankle with you that you can't win the league because money dictates that you can't?
We can't. Sorry, I didn't say we couldn't. There's a little thing in the back of my head says one day we'll win the league, and we will. It mightn't be this year, but it's like the perfect storm. You just need 1 year for a bunch of kids and a few pros and a good manager and a stiff breeze, and you'll take people by surprise, and it will happen.
I think
I believe that.
On you go, Johnny.
I think I've mentioned that to you before, Jason, about Everton. Something tells me, I've always said that I think Everton will come through and surprise. They've done it in the 80s. They've done it in the 80s. There's no reason why they can't do it again.
There is, mate. There's Saudi billionaires and Roman Abramovich.
I know, but Jason,
if you can keep a good bunch of boys fit, a couple of ill heads, anything's possible in football.
But the thing,
I went to Man City on Saturday, Jason. We didn't play that well. I was disappointed going out to the game, but City was shocking. And if they're the league and unbeaten and this and that and the other, and we gave them a good run for their money, and we didn't play that well. I think things might be turning in this country. I think there was a bit of a levelling taking place.
I think some of these players, Manchester City, they're actually getting beaten in with Borussia Dortmund. I think the money that they've got they're not want to win any medals. They're not after any trophies. I don't think it's the money that they make. It's it's abysmal.
It's to be honest with you, and see to be fair, John, see supporting a team like Everton, it's actually not too bad because see the ticket prices at Goodison, they're actually very, very reasonable. See for the product you're watching, and I don't know about your season tickets and stuff like that, but when I take the boys down, when I run a bus down, we can get tickets in the Gladys Street, they're 38 quid, and that's when you're playing Man United, you're playing Liverpool and stuff like that. You'll pay 42 quid for Celtic if they were playing like the ex-Rangers. You know what I mean? That for an ex-Old Firm game, they charged us 42 quid or whatever. So when you actually look at the product that you're watching there, and it's billed as the best league in the world, Goodison is very reasonable for ticket prices. I don't know what you think of that, John.
Yeah, it is, but I mean, it's been in the papers a lot this week, especially because City are playing them. But you look at the German model and the Dortmund one in particular, huge terracing, popular prices, fan ownership. That's got to be the way forward.
Yeah, but the German model's amazing. We all love it. In Scotland, that's what we all aspire to. We don't aspire to the English model.
No, the English model's an upset team. But if we could get the fans, maybe we have to go bust in order to come out of the ashes like a phoenix. But the German model, that's what I mean. That's a bit of a leveler, isn't it?
Yeah, you can get Sevco to lead you in. They've went bust recently. Use them. But I just hope Liverpool are the next to go. That'd be funny. But they're like so your city neighbours. What do you think of them? Are they the biggest deluded shower on this planet or what?
I think that is the one word I would use about actually, Jason. And I don't think we've colluded on this one. It is delusion. They actually think there's something that they're not. They think they entitled to things that they're not entitled to. It's just really sad. Just get on and play, and if you win, great. If you don't, fine. But they think they are God. They're so special that God put them on this planet, like the chosen people. It's quite sad, really.
See, to be fair, from the late 60s, like early 70s, to the through the 80s as well, I mean to the early 80s, they had probably the best team on the planet. They were absolutely amazing, but that's long gone. I mean, Celtic 1967 are the best team on the planet. We don't start preaching to the world that we are the best team and we're due this, we're due that. We led the way. We showed Liverpool the way, but we realised it was a long time ago. We need to start earning our stripes again. But they're funny, to be honest with you. They are.
You there?
Yep, on you go, Johnny boy.
I was on holiday a couple of years ago, Alcudia. I met a crowd of Liverpool fans. Two brothers and their friend. And the two brothers were telling me their dad was a taxi driver. They lived in Hayton. Is it Hayton? Hayton. Yeah. But their dad took them to Goodison Park. Their dad was a big Evertonian, and they took them to Goodison Park twice, and they didn't like it. I think Everton got beat twice. So from then on, they decided that they were going to be Liverpool fans, and I says to them, I'm saying to myself, you're no Liverpool fans. Your dad's brought you up to be Everton fans, and because they didn't win, you're away across the city to support the other team. I say, so what? Your dad was born an Evertonian. He's brought you into the world as Evertonians, and because they never won the two games, he's managed to take you. Obviously, he's worked hard as a taxi driver, and yous have decided to get away and go and support their biggest rivals. But they couldn't see the point. All they could see was 5 times. That was all I heard for the fortnight they were there.
Well, see, to be honest with you, Johnny, I blame the dad. Because at the end of the day, if any of my kids come in and says they're going to start supporting Rangers tomorrow, it just wouldn't harm.
No, that wouldn't happen. I couldn't believe it. How can you go away just because your team never win. You're born, your dad's bought you the jerseys. We can't watch this. At that age, they didn't know anything about football. They could be young boys, you know what I mean? You go where your dad goes.
That's it, mate. So John, what do you think about this? I'll be honest with you, Johnny. I'll put my cards on the table here. I really like the atmosphere in Liverpool with the two sets of fans. I really like that it is a football rivalry and it is nothing more. I like that it's no got the baggies that we've got up here. I do. I think that's pretty special, and especially with the Hillsborough stuff. We done a podcast on Hillsborough, and it transpires the guy Eddie who done the podcast at Copyight's one of that mob. But that wasn't surprising. But I really like that. You know, I like the way the city pulls together. I hate Liverpool in a football context, but I still like their fans. You know, as human beings. I don't know, but John, you're a Scouser, so what do you think of that?
I agree to a certain extent, but when it comes to football, you can't talk to them. I mean, it's the arrogance. Take them out of football context, and they're lovely people because we're all the same. We're all the same, exactly the same. But once you add the football element in, they just turn into these deluded idiots.
Right.
Can I just put one thing in quick, Jason?
Yep, carry on, mate.
Well, the government, our brilliant government, you know, north and south of the border, it deemed the News of the World to be unsuitable for the British people to read, and closed it down. Yeah.
Yep.
We in Liverpool, we deemed from the bottom up that there was a rag that didn't deserve to be bought because it was filthy. Yeah.
Exactly.
And we're looked down on it in England. We're seen to be the most, the lowest of the low. We've got no principles. We've got no nothing from the city of Liverpool, and we showed the country as a united city that we do have. And really, we can stand together and shunt, Murdoch's muck off the street. And we don't need legislation for it. I was quite proud of that. So yeah, Liverpool standing together as a city. I think we do it every now and again, and it is a good thing. But I can't stand in a pub with them and talk football. It just becomes too painful.
Nah, I would 100% agree with you, mate. And a young guy joined my team, a young guy Paul, if he ever listens to this podcast, and he used to start coming to. He was starting to come and have lunch with us up in the works canteen or whatever. A few tables and chairs, we'd take our sandwiches up there and get some soup and sit and talk football and stuff like that. And I seen he was bringing a certain newspaper, beginning with S and ending in N. And I says, "You're in my team now, son. You won't be bringing that very often." And that has ceased to be bought. So that young man's been educated, and I've never bought it since that day at Hillsborough. And I would never buy it, and that was a slight on the city, not just in Liverpool Football Club, who I can't stand, but at the end of the day you've got to stand shoulder to shoulder when things like that happen. And
I think it was a slight on fans, basically.
It was in football fans.
It was a slight on fans. We were all demonised and villainised, and we were all treated as the scum that they perceived us to be. We're not that army.
But they still do, mate, to a certain extent. In Scotland there's the Green Brigade, Celtic fans, the young guys who support Celtic with the flags and banners and tifo displays. They're getting demonised. They're getting arrested by police for singing. So it's getting out of hand now, and it's like, but it's the age-old thing that football fans are demonised. If you're a rugby fan, if you're on your way to a rugby game, Scotland, England at rugby, you could have 25 cans in the train going to the game with your kilt on, and nobody will say a word to you. If you're going to like a Celtic Hearts game in Edinburgh and you're in the same train going to Edinburgh, if you got one can of beer, you got arrested.
Yeah.
That's criminal. But no, so mate, that's been an absolute pleasure. The next time we come on, I'd like to get Chile Paul on, and we can get maybe a bit more information about your trips to the three countries and a bit more stories. It's a bit difficult when it's yourself and it was 5 years that done the trip. But Johnny, have you got anything to add, mate?
That was brilliant listening, John. Great story. Mate, superb. Better than sitting watching any of these games that are on the new anyway, that's for sure. And by the way, John, see how you says you can't sit in a pub and listen to them. I'm 4 hours away from them. and they're still in the pubs up here going on about Liverpool. 5 times. Be honest, mate, you've got no idea.
John, see where Johnny lives. Johnny lives in a place called Carluke. There's an ex-Motherwell player, Dougie Arnott, and he's got a pub. And see if he has pub, is there no a Liverpool supporters club there, Johnny?
They all go there and watch Liverpool.
Some of them get Liverpool tattoos and stuff like that.
They're Liverpool people. Like their parents are all Liverpool people. But I think they've been to Anfield once. In fact, one of them actually follows Liverpool all over. He was up last week to see Celtic and Barcelona. He's actually a Celtic fan as well, Paul, but he's still goes on about Rome 77 and whenever they won this and all the rest of it. You know what I mean? As John has been saying, I call the Rangers fans deluded morons, but I wouldn't exactly call the Liverpool fans morons, but deluded, aye.
I would call them morons. It's my podcast, I can say what I want. They're morons.
You can do exactly what you want.
There you go, mate. And just tell the guy if he's ever stuck for a lift and we've got the bus going down, Johnny, he can't get a lift on our bus. There you go. There's no danger in it.
No, he wouldn't go on it anyway.
Nah, he wouldn't get invited, don't worry. Right, mate. So, John, Mr. Sheeran, have you got anything to add, mate?
Nah, I just really appreciate the opportunity to come and just rant. So thank you very much, Jason and Johnny. I've really enjoyed it.
No, and
we'll have to do it in the flesh soon.
Yep, and the thing is, John, as well. You guys wrote a book on Everton and Chile. I was just looking at a couple of the notes I wrote down there. Sianamos de la calidad, la historia de Everton FC.
Yeah.
So who wrote that? You? I mean, I know you can speak a good bit of Spanish. I've been with you in Madrid at the Athletic Cup final.
No, what it was written by a Finnish Evertonian. And we wrote to this guy, and we said, "Can we take your words? We just want to translate them into Spanish." So he said, "Yeah, no probs." So we took the book, we added a few chapters, we edited it, put it into Spanish, and we sent it to every Spanish-speaking club in the world, and to Chile. We got us back from Real Madrid and Barcelona, and they're really nice, saying thank you very much. We got nothing back off Everton. And the thing is, it's a duty of quality, which is a play on 100 Years of Solitude. It's just a play on words from the Colombian writer. I forgot his name.
Me and Johnny won't be able to help you there.
All
right. And just as you mentioned the word solitude, Barry Murray, the Everton Independent Supporters Club, they're all heading over to Belfast this Saturday for the Cliftonville Coleraine game. So I said to Barry, I says, how are you going to feel about shouting on, come on the Reds? He says, I'm a Red for a day. So that's the first time Barry Murray's ever been a Red in his life. So they're going there on Saturday and they'll be back for the Everton Spurs game on Sunday. So there you go.
God.
So John, absolute pleasure as always, mate. We'll get another Athletic podcast with Eusebio. He's been on the blower a few times. He's a bit upset about Athletics falling these days, but Bielsa, he'll get it right. I'm sure he'll get it right.
I hope so.
Exactly. I know. So we'll need to organise our final soiree to see the old lady in Bilbao, because that's the final season. So Johnny, you're more than welcome. Myself and John and my younger brother Joe has just walked into the room. Joe, you want to say hello to John? Say it to the mic there.
Right, John, how's it going?
Hello, Joe. Things.
No bad, mate. How you doing?
I'm alright. Have we recovered from Madrid?
Yeah, just a wee bit, yeah.
Right, guys. So we'll wrap this up, and I was looking for an Everton Chile song, John, but I couldn't find it, so I'll just wrap us up with my favourite Everton song. Apart from, I've got another one. Obviously, we hate Bill Shankly, we hate St John, but this is my favourite Everton song. I'll just wrap us up with this. So Johnny Mackay and John Sheeran, Skerry Casco.
That's been a
there. That was alright, eh? Nah, it was great. That's what it's all about, mate. No, honestly, John, it's Everton. Listen to Everton, you've got to say, mate. It's that's what I want to honestly, John, I swear to God, I'll get you doing I'll get you doing talking sessions up in Glasgow shortly. So they're phoning me saying, how are you getting this guy up here? No, it was excellent, mate. So, pity Paul couldn't have been on. It's better than those two E's. About it's brilliant. And you see all the stories about Aaron putting up in Indonesia and all, and getting cancelled. He's in the right detail.
We're the kings of Goodison, we play at Royal Blue. The home of all the Tommy men, we play sweet for you. We play it on the clock, we play it in the air.
I'm going to studies on the phone because I need the role that I'm trying to do as an archivist in the museum.
Oh, you got a shot put up, pal. Oh, man, brilliant. I don't know, mate. I'll need to I don't know. No before that. Very good. Johnny, you're a bad luck mascot, Johnny. What's that, John? I know. The Madrid game in March or April. Jason will get me. Told us no ball. He'd 6 the last time when he got spare. No ball. Me and Linda forever Everton song finished myself. 3 seconds to finish.